Welcome to the PaynePoints Podcast. We enjoy telling the stories of everyday people, whether that be small business owners, entrepreneurs, or people with a passion for their community. We want to highlight them and give them a platform to share their story. So grab your favorite beverage and join us on today's episode where we tell the story of someone just like you. Hey guys, welcome back to another podcast episode. Today, joining us all the way from Quebec, Canada, it's Monday, is Vickie Leuenberger. I know I said that wrong. I know I did, but we're going to pretend like it was right. How's it going, Vickie?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us on this Zoom meeting today and to talk about your life and business and all the things. Quebec, Canada. I don't think we've ever had anybody from Quebec before.
No, I don't think so.
Have we had anybody from Canada?
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Abu Saeed.
That's right.
He was from Canada.
Yes.
But
that was like a year and a half ago.
Right. But we haven't had anybody from Quebec. So welcome, Vickie.
What? We're the nicest, if you didn't know.
Canadians in general are just the nicest. I mean, personally, yes. I think, it doesn't matter the region, east or west or in the middle.
Yeah, we all learn to apologize all the time. So
yeah. Now, are you native to Canada or is that just where you have migrated to?
Yes, I'm native from Quebec. So I come from a only French speaking family. The reason why I speak English is kind of a mystery to everyone. So yeah, I'm from maybe an hour south of Montreal, which is kind of the biggest city.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, did you take English in school? I mean, because you sound like a native English speaker.
I wouldn't have never guessed that you are not a native English speaker.
I took some classes, but I have to admit that the English classes in Quebec are very, very poor. Most of my friends can barely complete a sentence or order in a restaurant. But I just I received some coaching. People helped me out. My current partner is an accent reduction coach. So he still corrects me sometimes on little things. And it's my secret identity.
Well, I think that your English is better than some natives that I know. That's how it works out sometimes. Anybody I've ever met that speaks English as a second language almost does it better than the people I know who've spoke it their whole life. It's great. It's awesome. I've been trying to learn Italian for, I don't know how long. I mean, years. And I'm still very elementary at it. Don't ask me to pronounce anything. I'm terrible. I can read and write in it just fine. But saying the words, I would need a coach, like you said, somebody to figure it out.
Yeah, it's another challenge. Speaking
Definitely.
is a whole other thing.
Yeah. So why don't you, we kind of been chit-chatting here this whole time, but why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? And give us your business name and all the things that go along with that and kind of how you got into that world.
Yes. Okay. So I have a very interesting professional background. Actually totally related to my English speaking. I have a bachelor's of education in teaching English as a second language. So that probably helped too in the whole learning English department.
I would imagine.
Forget that piece of the puzzle sometimes. I'm also a certified massage therapist. I used to work as a part-time mermaid. I gave tours in a vineyard. So I know everything about wine and cider.
You're like a jack of all trades.
Yes, definitely. I've done so many things during the first 5 months of the pandemic. I worked as a caregiver here in long-term care facilities in Quebec because the army went to help out because we just had no nurses or no one available to take care of our elders. So I did that. But the thing I've been doing for the longest is coaching. So I've been coaching for 13 years now. I still coach artistic swimming.
Okay.
So is that like synchronized swimming or?
Yes,
okay.
That's the same thing. So we changed the name in 2014. Changed the name in 2014 because we wanted to be more aligned with kind of figure skating and artistic gymnastics and that sort of stuff. Okay. But yes, it's basically synchronized swimming. Okay. And I went all the way to international competitions with some teams. And recently I kind of realized that I could apply all this knowledge I had into bringing the the best in teams and just bringing teams to their highest potential, and that I could apply that to businesses or to other humans. So just kind of to transfer that knowledge. So for the past 2 years, I've been doing the same type of coaching. So more related to mindset, success, goal setting, but into more of a business setting.
So like life coaching or business coaching and all that. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine that the same principles get applied, if you're coaching a team sport of some kind, and then trying to help people either in their personal life or their business life. It's kind of the same. I would imagine some of the same mindset. That was a nice segue for you then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was really nice. It was really nice. I also got NLP trained, neuro linguistics programming. So that also gave me extra tools to kind of connect with other humans.
Good deal. So like, what's the name of your company or business or however you want to label it?
Yeah. So right now it's just my full name, coaching.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Vickie Leuenberger coaching.
Okay.
So the way that I work is that I don't have one-on-one clients. I don't have any clients that are mine. I partner up with other businesses and then act as a supportive coach in their business and coach their clients or their team.
Okay. That makes
a company
total
will
sense.
hire me to coach for them. So for example, my partner's company, Literal Language Coaching, I'm one of his coaches in his multidisciplinary teams. So when I was doing sports coaching, it was not just one coach for the team. We had a nutritionist on the team, a strength and conditioning specialist, a sports psychologist. We were a team of maybe 8 people, making sure our athletes were safe and that we're getting the best. So I'm trying to recreate that in my business model where I integrate multidisciplinary teams. So I work for a business coach, a business accelerator program. And there's me in charge of the mindset. There's someone in charge of coaching sales, someone in charge of coaching marketing, so that we're all in our different field of expertise working under one banner.
That sounds like honestly a no-brainer that every company should be doing something like that. I mean, I know that it can be expensive. And so not everybody has, especially if you're a small business, you don't always have the funds, but anytime you take, a person who's in a specialized sort of field, you said mindset, making sure your employees are like mentally okay and healthy and approaching problems in a certain way. I think we'd all have a much more healthy work environment if something like that was employed on a more regular basis. Was there anything that prompted you? Obviously you were coaching, you've been coaching for a while, but was there anything in the beginning that sort of prompted, hey, this is necessary. This is the direction I want to go. How did that come about for you?
Yeah.
Was it just like sort of organically happening over time, or was there like a light bulb and then it kind of went from there?
Yeah, I think it was the pandemic that sort of sparked that in me, because I realized at that point, I was still in contact with my athletes. Some of them were still allowed to train because higher levels, we were still allowed to train. Younger athletes couldn't go to the pool or the gym anymore. And I kind of noticed that what I liked the most about coaching was not the physical transformations, but it was the mental one. And it was to see my athletes transfer what they're learning at the pool in their personal lives. An athlete coming to me and saying, oh, I used your tip before my big exam because I was super nervous. I power posed and I wrote down what I knew I was able to achieve. And I did positive affirmation and this and that. I meditated and I was like, wow, my impact is so much better than getting you a gold medal. Mm-hmm. I'm giving these young, for me, it was mostly women, obviously artistic swimming, giving these young women like leadership training and stress management techniques. And it was so much bigger than just bringing them to the top of the podium. So I was like, oh, wow, my impact can be magnified if I just allow myself to and continue growing and learning and connecting with the right people. So I think that was my turning point.
I think a lot of people had aha moments, during the pandemic where it was like, oh, this is a need that's been missing. And I think the last couple of years have taken their toll on everyone's mental health and physical health and just their emotional well-being. And so I've seen, I grew up in the time, in the 90s where there were some motivational speakers, people like Tony Robbins and things like that. Yes. And in recent years, I've noticed a bigger explosion on social media of people who you would call life coaches, or I wouldn't necessarily say motivational speakers, but they are people who almost like therapists in a way, but they're it's not quite so intimate. And I wonder if that's just, a product of the time that we're in. People are so lost and they need, other, guidance from other people. It's kind of like, a checkup to some extent for your mental health. Like, hey, this person seems like they got it together. They at least have a plan that I can follow, So have you noticed that as well? There's been, more readily acceptance for something like this industry that you've kind of created?
Yes, 100%. 100%. I think, like you said, motivational speakers are so popular nowadays. Self-help books, self-help podcasts, all of these are more and more in demand. So you can see that there's a need and people are consuming that. And then what I like about the coaching is that it's sort of the action format of all of those things. For me, coaching is about a symbiotic relationship, and kind of like you mentioned, therapy. I'm not the one speaking in a coaching session. I'm having my clients, the team that I'm coaching or the clients that I'm coaching, do the work. I'm barely going to do any speaking. And I think that's what's fun, kind of like that transition from motivational speaker to coaching, is that motivational speaking is going to be awesome. You're going to go see a conference, going to be impacted, and then you might not change anything in your life.
Right.
But when you have a coach that's behind you, that's keeping you accountable, that's giving you actions to do, that's when you actually see things changing and moving in your life. Kind of like the difference between an athlete listening to a conference and an athlete actually getting into the pool and doing those laps and building that muscle.
Right. It's like a personal trainer at the gym in a way.
Yes.
You can do the things on your own, but then if you have somebody that's like, hey, you can do one more, come on, one more, I feel like that's definitely a little bit more hands-on. It gives you more of a, like you said, practicing that muscle, working that muscle, doing it more.
It's your mindset muscle. It's your positivity muscle. It's your muscle that wants you to dream. It's your dream muscle that we're training. It's your emotional fitness muscle that we're training. So I really see the parallel between growing your body, but now, like you said, we're in an era where we're growing our hearts, we're growing our souls, we're growing our minds. So why not get someone to mentor us in those areas of our life as well?
I know this is probably something I should say for later on in the discussion, but I almost wonder if they shouldn't implement something like this. And maybe that in Canada, y'all are more progressive than we are, where they implement this more like in elementary schools. If we were taught from a younger age to be more self-care oriented and more emotionally healthy, then perhaps we could grow up to be more productive adults that didn't need so much therapy. You know what I mean? I wonder if we started this sort of practice in school at a younger age, what could we achieve as a society, by the time these kids are grown up, you know what I mean? So I almost wonder if that's not an idea for the future, something y'all could do. Yes. But we can get into that a little bit later. I wanted to ask you as a life coach or just, a coaching individual in general, do you have any particular habits that you do when you get up in the morning or just on a daily basis that sort of set your day for success, set your week for success? What can you share with us on that?
100%. So I have a morning routine every day, but what is the most important thing about morning routines is that if you skip a day, don't blame yourself. Don't blame yourself. Everything in the mindset industry, I feel like there's so many conflicts. So there's those people that are very spiritual and more towards the like, listen to your heart, listen to yourself. And then there's the grind. There's like David Goggins, like get up at 5 a.m., drink that green juice and never stop, right? And those two things can coexist in mindset. So yes, I have a very strict morning routine and sometimes I don't respect it and that's okay. So that's the first thing I want to say. Every morning I start by writing. In my journal, it could be gratitude. It could just be kind of letting my thoughts out on paper. It could be writing down about my dreams. It doesn't matter what it is, but I start every morning with writing. And then I read, usually for 15 minutes. Usually it's nonfiction, but if I'm feeling for fiction that morning, I will do it. Then some sort of moving my body. And then I try to achieve one thing before I turn on my phone. And that has been probably the best habit that I started in the past 3 years. I think doing one thing before opening my phone, it made me so much more productive, whether it's like emptying the dishwasher, starting the laundry, sending one email, but I try to always do something before turning that on.
Yeah.
It's kind of what my morning looked like.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a good plan. I think we can become so dependent upon our phones or social media or, technology that we kind of separate ourselves from, living life sometimes, so if you wake up and you immediately get on your phone, depending on what you see when you open the phone, you can set yourself up for a pretty bad day. So
Yes.
I think that's a pretty good practice. Honestly, I probably should employ that a little bit more. I've been telling people I started walking every day at the beginning of the year, and I'm not trying to lose weight or anything like that, but I needed to do some physical activity for 30 minutes, to like get my blood pumping and working and moving. And I feel like I've been in such a better mood overall. I mean, everybody has bad days here and there, but like overall, doing that little bit of exercise, it's not even super strenuous, helps me have a much better day. I have more energy throughout the day, believe it or not. Yes. And I hate it. I hate every minute of it. I hate exercising, but the benefits of it afterwards, I was telling our last guest a couple of weeks ago, they're into nutrition and fitness, and I was like, I hate exercising. It is absolutely the worst. I have to force myself to do it. But once I've done it, I'm like, I'm so glad I did that. And I feel like that's kind of the same thing you're talking about here is getting those little habits, whatever they may be for you specifically, and sticking to them as best you can. Or there are days where I'm just like, you know what, I'm not feeling it today and I don't do it. Okay. And yeah, it's okay. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm really curious. Is this something, one of our questions is, what did you want to be when you grew up? Mm-hmm. And so is this something that you always wanted to do, like coaching and being around people and being a positive influence in people's lives?
Oh my God, that's such a good question. So I wanted to be so many things. I wanted to be so many things as a child. And that's probably why I did so many things as well. I think I wanted to say the weather on TV. Because I like talking and I like repeating myself, and I like having an audience. And then I kind of realized that was a lot of pressure on your appearance. You always have to look good, and people are like taking care of your hair and makeup and all of that. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to have this amount of pressure, but there was already something there. And then I wanted to be kind of like Indiana Jones, like archaeologist, adventure style, something looking for treasures. But ultimately, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be hosting my first retreat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's a mindset and fitness retreat co-hosted with a fitness academy. And I'm so excited about that. And I'm realizing that like, if I could be anything in the world, it would probably be an adult camp counselor.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You definitely have that personality. I could totally see that about you. Like an adult camp counselor. I would come to that camp.
Right?
Yeah. Totally.
Singing songs and playing games. And I feel like I was a camp counselor for like 9 years. So you're saying, what did you want to be as a kid? I think when I was a camp counselor and I was teaching rock climbing and rafting and I was painting with the kids, I think I was exactly where I need to be. But now I kind of grew up and kids are fun, but not as fun as adults. The conversations are not as rich. So I'm like, right. If I could have a summer camp for adults, like team building for businesses, I think that's where my business is going to evolve eventually.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. That makes total sense.
Totally skipped over that question. So I'm glad Megan asked it because that's great.
Right.
On that note, like, did you have anyone growing up or currently that inspires you? Is there a person? Is it a mindset or an idea?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So in terms of more like bigger names, of course, I like Tony Robbins. I like Mel Robbins. This girl is just an icon. My mom is a big inspiration for me. She's an elementary school teacher. And what I love the most about her teaching is that she's constantly reinventing herself. She never sits down on, oh, I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm just going to do the same thing as last year. She's always building those crazy projects with her students. And she's so creative about it. And she's really the person who taught me to love myself first. Like I owe her the love I have for myself, the relationship I have with myself. So there's definitely that. And then I didn't really think it was possible to work online until 2 years ago when I met my current partner. So he's been a big inspiration in terms of, you know what, if you want to build an online business, it's possible. We're going to make it happen. And I mean, I don't know if we want to get into that right now, but my partner and I just bought a sailboat. So I thought I was going to just kind of like put money aside for the sailboat dream. And he kind of showed me that we could work and live on a sailboat at the same time. So he's been inspiring me a lot for that in the past 2 years.
Nice.
That's
yeah,
incredible.
I do want to get into that later. That sounds fun. Do you have any hobbies or things that you do when you're not working that really help you sort of let off steam or just be who you are?
Yes, 100%. Okay. So first of all, I tried to try 2 new sports every month. So this month I tried curling, and I think it was a aerial hoop. So it was like the circus hoop thing. Before that, I did underwater rugby. I think that was in January. In October, I did pole dancing. Anyway, so I love to try new things. I think it's just a matter of scheduling it. You know, it's out there. Just Google like activities to do around you and then book it for next month. You don't remember. And then you wake up one morning and you're like, oh, today I'm trying curling. Isn't that awesome?
That's so cool.
They don't have that around here, but it's Texas and it gets real hot and we only have like 2 weeks of cold. So, but that sounds like fun. I like watching that on the Olympics. I'm fascinated. I don't really understand what's going on, but I'm like, that's cool. Whatever. It's like bowling kind of.
Archery. Yeah. Archery. No, more like darts, bowling, maybe pool put together. You can like push the next rocks. I have to admit, I was terrible, by the way. I can send you some videos. I was not very good at curling.
Hey, but, I mean, if you're trying 2 sports a month, you're not going to be great at all of them. I know.
I'm terrible at most of them.
You said that you like to read in the morning. Are there any current books that you are reading or that you would recommend?
Yes, I'm currently reading Wise Heart by Jack Kornfield. Wise Heart, it's so good. I'm reading it for the second time just because, when you reread a book for a second time, you always learn something new. And it's kind of like American psychology meets Buddhism.
Oh, okay.
That sounds like a book that I would be interested in.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you're more of a nonfiction reader.
Yes, but I say yes, but it's just recently. I love fiction books as well. I love reading. Definitely going to do a lot of that on the boat. And and then in terms of hobbies, anything water related, I love to swim. I love to scuba dive. I love to sail. I love to play water polo, snorkel, anything around water.
So you really are a mermaid in real life.
I am. Thank you.
That's awesome. I want to talk about that later too. Megan, why don't we've kind of come to the rapid fire question section, and I'm going to have Megan ask you some questions and you just answer the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
All right, Vickie, what did you have for breakfast?
Oatmeal.
How do you take your coffee?
I don't drink coffee. I have matcha.
That works too. What is your favorite song right now?
That's just the way you make me feel. Actually don't know the author, but it's kind of like the song at the beginning of Human Resources. It's a adult cartoon on Netflix.
Okay,
so
cool.
The song is at the beginning of that.
Are you currently watching a TV show? And if so, what show?
Oh, well, Human Resources.
What's it about?
It's it's an adult cartoon. So it's kind of like if we had a bunch of little monsters that were giving us advice on how to lead our life. So you have like your rational rock that's giving you all your rational advice. You have your love bug that's giving you all your love advice. And then you have like a shame wizard that's making you feel shame when you're being terrible. It's kind of like the Disney movie Inside Out. It's a little similar to that, but more adult.
Okay. I like that. I wonder if that's just the Canadian version of Netflix because I have not seen that, but I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah. Might be just the Canadian version.
All right. What is your favorite book?
My favorite book. I'm going to go with Harry Potter because you can never be wrong with that one.
Good choice. What is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Why do I have to choose? Okay, so I really like the one that has everything in it, like caramel cluster, peanut butter, chocolate, cookie dough, cream.
Like Rocky Dirt Road, that kind of thing?
Yes.
Anything Ben and Jerry's.
Okay. Do you prefer Coke or Pepsi?
Isn't it the same thing? Pepsi.
Sweet or salty?
Salty.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
What is your zodiac sign?
I'm a Leo Virgo rising.
Love it. Spring, summer, fall, or winter?
Summer.
What is your favorite color?
Dark green.
Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I think you can guess that one.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm an extrovert.
Now, is a hot dog a sandwich?
Is a hot dog or sandwich? No. Is cereal soup?
Oh,
Ooh, that's a good question.
is cereal soup? Yes,
Maybe.
I think it
It's
is.
stuff in a liquid.
All
I
right.
think we're gonna have to start asking that one.
I think so, because that's really
Thank you,
good.
Vickie. That's great.
And what is your favorite social media platform?
Instagram.
Instagram. Yeah.
Ours too, unless you're counting TikTok.
I mean, I've
And-
kind of had an obsession with TikTok lately. I love watching funny pet videos or, silly dances or things like that. So, something to put a smile on your face.
I need to get on that. I need to try it.
Honestly, you would be so good at TikTok.
You probably would.
You'd probably be like viral on TikTok. You really need to get on it.
Yeah.
Like doing mindset videos. I think that people would
There
really
are
appreciate that.
people on there that do that, but I feel like you've got a certain spice and twist to your personality that would set you apart from some of the other people I've seen,
Absolutely.
And I think too, your actual coaching background, athletic coaching might actually push you in a different niche that, might definitely, like Megan said, make you viral on TikTok. Something to look into.
We'll be your first followers.
Awesome. I'll give it a try this week. You know what? Rip the Band-Aid. I'll do
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of social media for small businesses, that tends to be a way for most modern businesses to sort of promote themselves or, get the word out to advertise. It's more so than any traditional media used to be, like TV, radio, print.
Yeah.
Have you noticed for your specific business? I mean, we were just talking about TikTok, utilizing social media to sort of push your brand out there and get your name in people's faces. How do you do that if you're not on TikTok?
Yeah, if I'm not on TikTok, how do I do that? So I definitely do some sales, promote my services on Instagram, not really on Facebook. On Facebook, I promote my podcast or podcast appearances, kind of the work that I'm doing, the retreat that I'm going to co-host soon. That's the kind of thing I'll share on Facebook, but I won't really sell my services the same way I do on Instagram. LinkedIn, we're still getting to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't click as much as Instagram, LinkedIn's a bit more cold.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've had some struggle. To me, it feels like the real formal version of Facebook,
Yeah.
So you target the way you approach your potential customer or client differently on each platform. And you found that that's worked best for you.
Yes.
Because some people try the same approach or the same kind of content or what have you, and just try to reach different people because there are different generations on different social media platforms.
So
but you actually
where the audience that you're targeting hangs out.
Yeah. And you try a different type of approach on each one. Like you said, with Facebook, you just promote your podcasts and maybe upcoming events. And on Instagram, it's more targeted to your actual services. Yeah. Which I feel like is interesting because not everybody has the time for that. Do you have anybody who helps you with your social media or do you do all of it by yourself?
So I do all of it by myself. I think, and that's one of the best advice I received when I started in business was one action is better than none. So really kind of learning to let go of perfectionism and just being like, this is what I have today. This is what I'm going to post. Creating content doesn't take time for me. I can write one post per day. It takes me 5 minutes. If I batch it, it's even easier. I'm going to write 30 posts in 2 hours. So it hasn't been a struggle for me. I feel like if it's a line and you're speaking from your heart, it shouldn't be difficult. At the same time, I know everyone has different strengths and not everybody loves to write. But for me, it's very, very easy. I do a photo shoot once in a while. My boyfriend has one of his passion is taking photos of me, which is great because I always have content to share on social media.
Nice. Yeah.
Thank God for that. And I would say what has been working the most for my business and my business model is networking. I'm in many networking groups. On Lunch Club, which is a platform where you're paired every week with a new entrepreneur and you just meet and chat. So if you do it once a week for 52 weeks, at the end of the year, you've made 50 new entrepreneur friends. So that works really, really well for me. And that's where I receive also advice on what I should post on my social media or stuff like that.
I would imagine networking has got to be a huge part of the type of business you're in, because it's going to be more word of mouth than anything. A business hires you to come in and help work with their team. Yeah. And it's kind of hard to advertise that on Instagram. But if you have a CEO telling another CEO, hey, I hired this woman and she came in and she really helped the people be more productive and all these things. That's got to be more helpful, I feel like, for your business. Yes. And not every business is going to use that particular model, but networking, especially when it comes to something like this, is probably like gold.
Essential.
Yeah. Is there any particular, when you get contacted and they're like, hey, we want you to come in and we're having this issue where, productivity is down or whatever the case may be, or if you want to give us a scenario, that's cool too. What are some of the main, pain points, if you will, that you're brought in to help deal with?
Yes. So you said lack of productivity. That's a big one. When it comes to partnering up with coaching businesses, which is mostly what I have right now in terms of clients, it's often wherein no matter the amount of tools they give their clients are still procrastinating. They're not getting results. Their clients are not satisfied with their experience or their coaching experience. There's a lack of trust between the clients and the head coach or the organization, lack of clarity, lack of motivation. I would say motivation is probably the biggest one. That's the one I receive the most question on a weekly basis, how to keep a team motivated, which is great because that's what, in sports, that was huge. When you have a team that trains 35 to 40 hours a week in the pool, keeping them motivated is a big deal. So to be able to create sort of that environment in a company. So I would say a lack of motivation, procrastination, lack of results, usually stuff like that.
Main points. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine that's definitely one of my issues. Motivation, feeling lethargic, or getting burnout. Just in general, because and the American mindset is go, 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 hustle, 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 don't take very much time off, and you can just really wear yourself down that way. Yeah. So I'm not surprised at all. When we have a business like this, do you have any struggles that you could use some coaching on? What are some things that you're like, Vickie needs coaching on that?
Yeah. So I have an NLP coach of my own. Then I kind of just mash up everything that will come up in a week. Well, I see her once a month, but every week at the end of the week, I put some notes like, oh, this is what gave me energy this week. And this is what took away my energy this week. I'm going to do that every Sunday. What gave me energy this week? What drained me of my energy this week? And then when I meet with my NLP coach once a month, I'm going to be like, oh, I had this that week. That was really tough. So for example, one thing I had last week that I know I need to discuss with my coach next week when I see her, is that I received a message from one of my employees. So right now I'm managing still an artistic swimming club. It's a small gig just for the next 6 weeks. I'm helping out because the head coach kind of left on a burnout. So I'm just stepping in for a bit. And one of the employees sent me a message saying, oh, a situation happened today. We need to talk. And that made me so anxious. Like it ruined my morning. Like for 2 hours, I was like, oh my God, what has happened? Did I do something wrong? I felt really bad. And then the same thing happened 2 weeks ago again, when the president of the administrative council sent me a message saying, hey, we need to schedule a meeting. We need to talk to you about something. And in both situations, when I did arrive to the meeting, it was something super light and happy, and they love my work and totally unrelated to me. It was not even about me. So I panicked and I lost energy. I lost hours that I could have been positive and filled with joy for nothing. So I'm excited to debrief that with her in the upcoming weeks.
I think you touched on something that we all suffer from. Like my dad, he'll call me up and leave these messages on my voicemail that sound like the world is ending. And so I'm panicked when I get them. like, oh my God, something's happened. Someone's in an accident. Somebody's in the hospital. What happened? And I'll call and he's like, oh, I was just going to ask you, this thing on my computer, and it's like something completely non-emergent at all. And I'm like, okay, you got to stop leaving messages on my phone that sound like someone's died, because you send me into like so much anxiety and panic inducing like stress that I can't, and I've gotten emails just like what you were talking about where I'm like, oh, oh,
What did I do?
Good, and that we do waste a lot of energy. I think sometimes, that's a good way to put it, on things that don't really have anything to do with us. We infer so much trouble or drama that where there isn't any. And I don't know about your generation, if that's a thing, because like I'm older, and so we internalized a lot of that and just was like, and it came out in other ways. But like the kids these days, I think are speaking on that a lot sooner. This is filling me with anxiety. Can you just tell me what the general gist of the meeting is going to be, so that I don't worry that I've done something terrible?
Yeah, I think that we're a lot more honest about that kind of thing, because when I get a message like that, I have to click from you. You'll be like, hey, we need to talk about something.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, what is it? Can you debrief me on it?
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm going to be thinking about it, and I'm going to be thinking that I'm going to get fired.
Right. And I have to do the mental thing when I do that to somebody, like, oh, wait, I don't like it when I get those messages.
Right.
Hey, we need to talk about a specific situation in the next couple of days. Everything's fine. Just let's get some ideas down on paper. And I feel like that's a huge problem for like a lot of people. So it's great that you bring that up, because even if you are a life coach or business coach or an athletic coach, that we all have our own issues that, cause trouble. So yeah, that's great.
What, kind of switching gears a little bit, what has been one of the most fun memories of your career? What's something that you look back on fondly, like, wow, I really did a great job, or I was able to make a big impact?
Oh, wow. Wow, there's so many. I'm going to go back to my sports career. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful stuff that happened in the mindset coaching too, but this one was just so powerful. So in 2017, I switched clubs and I come back to an old club that I used to coach when I was younger. So I meet again with athletes that I haven't seen in like 8 years. And when I coached them, they were like 6 years old, and now they're like 14. And I'm assigned this brand new team in 2017 in September. They're a beautiful team of 7 young ladies, all between like 13 and 15. I go check the results of their last competition, which was the last national championship the year before. And they were 52nd in the league out of 54 teams.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, okay, all right, this is a challenge. And I coached them for 3 weeks. And then I sat down with them and I asked them, what do you want out of this year? What are your fears? What are your expectations? What are your goals? And I just deeply listen to all of them. And then I say, okay, at the end of this year, top 3 in the nation. And they just kind of stay silent. And then they go to the change room and I hear them laughing and being like, the new coach is crazy. Who's that girl? Who did she think she is? Who does she think we are? And we had a perfect season. They were first at every single competition that we showed up that year.
That's
all the way
crazy.
To the national championships. And it was
mindset. It's mindset. They had the skills, clearly.
Yeah.
It's just, they changed the way they thought about it.
Exactly.
And it took the right person coming in. I don't think everybody who's a coach for any kind of sporting is necessarily qualified to be a coach, because you can train athletes to be physically competitive, but it's the mental, I've heard so many stories from professional athletes where they had to do all these like rituals basically to kind of get them into the right mindset. And that to me was more, yes, of course you're going to practice your golf swing or your layups or your best, you're hitting the baseball, but also your mind has to kind of follow with it. So I feel like that's a really good illustration with that story right there, that you coach their minds.
Not in a year, it was impossible to build muscle that wasn't there, or to build skill. I mean, it was 8 months of work, but just their mind shifting from it's impossible to I don't need easy. I just need possible.
Yeah.
And that's what it was, and yeah, that kind of made me realize of the power of the mind. And oh my God, what if I can apply this and transfer this to my own personal life and become a champion in my life and my dreams, and show up for them. And one thing I told them was like about motivation and perseverance is that when you have a goal, you have to be perseverant. And everyone's like, oh, okay, that's obvious. But the way I described it to them was, it's like if you have, do you guys have children?
I do.
I'm her child.
You're a child. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Sisters.
Oh, thank you.
So, when you have a child and your child is starting to crawl and walk, right? And if he doesn't walk after a day, are you going to say, oh, just too bad, we'll push this one in a wheelchair?
Right.
No, you're going to keep showing up. You're going to keep showing up every single day until your child walks. And it's the same way for your goals. If you guys want to have that gold medal, you're going to show up every single day. You're not going to give up on yourself. You're not going to give up on that child. Yeah. And that's what happened. So they didn't give up and they showed up every single day and they made it happen. So props to them. And
that's a great little anecdotal story. I like that. You took a team that was 52nd and made them pretty much first, all because of their mind more than anything. Because like you said, they've already had the skills, they'd already had the muscle. It's just getting into that right frame of mind. I think we don't realize how much that plays a role in even regular people's success. You don't have to be an athlete. It's just life in general. Positive thinking yields positive results. Not like your life isn't going to be sunshine and roses and rainbows all the time, but like you're going to have probably a slightly better experience if you view life in a more positive frame than if it's negative. So, do you have anything about this particular career path that's sort of taught you something about yourself that even you didn't know going into it?
Ooh, so many things. I'm realizing more and more that one thing I love about coaching is that I feel like I'm capitalizing on something I do effortlessly. My best coaching sessions are the ones where I work the least hard. When I'm trying too much, I don't get as much results as when I just am.
Yeah.
That's a really good piece of advice, I think.
Yeah. I can totally see that.
I think that we often in our lives, whether it be with our partners or our family or our friends, if we're trying too hard, that can be reflected very obviously.
It also has the opposite effect that you want too. I think,
right.
Sometimes when you're really pushing it and versus just letting things be,
Yes.
So that's it. That's a great little lesson to learn. And you learned it earlier on than, taking 70 years of your life. So there you go.
Just be yourself. It's enough.
Just be. I like that. It should be a t-shirt. You talked earlier about living on a sailboat, working on a sailboat. I want to talk about that a little bit because I feel like in the last couple of years, obviously with COVID and everything and sort of life and society shifting to a more at home, at least for a while there anyway. And maybe it's still that way in Canada, not so much here in America, but where people are looking to work from home more often or travel and still work. And I want to hear from you, your experience. I mean, and maybe y'all are too early on in the process, but how do you envision, if that's the case, what your life will look like working from a sailboat, which, from my perspective, sounds like an ideal situation. So I'm very jealous. How does, if somebody wants to get into that, if somebody wants to go in that direction, maybe just give us a little bit of what your experience has been so far.
Okay. Of course, like, what is kind of amazing about the sailboat life is that, yes, you are a nomad, but not really. It's kind of like a tiny house or a tiny apartment, right? You don't have to constantly be moving. When it comes to access to internet, as long as you're 30 miles from a coast, you can just have a SIM card from that country and work from there. So that's kind of the amazing part. So I actually think, I don't know. I've never tried being in a van or a schoolie or something like that, but I think it's much easier because you're always in the same. But I guess a schoolie, you have your oven and your bed inside too. So I guess that would be kind of similar.
Yeah.
But it's not like being nomads with backpacks where you're actually, carrying your stuff and you don't know where you're going to sleep tonight. I always going to know where I'm sleeping tonight. I actually think it's going to be easier once we're on the boat. So we're leaving our apartment in 6 weeks. We're leaving on June 1st.
Okay.
We're traveling off to Asia a little bit and then France, and then we're coming back, and we're kind of going to be between houses, Airbnbs and all of that. And I have to be honest, I'm nervous about that part. And I'm excited. In September, we're officially moving on the boat, and that's kind of like settling down, like, oh, finally we're at home.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited about that part.
How big is the boat?
It's 30 feet.
Okay. So it's not huge, but it's not small.
No. You can sleep probably 5 people comfortably in there.
Yeah.
I'm really curious as to what made you want to pursue this sort of nomad sailor lifestyle.
Yes.
He's a mermaid.
I'm a mermaid. In January 2019, I went on a charter trip in the Bahamas. So I was for 2 weeks just off the grid in those amazing turquoise water. And I was there, and there was a captain. So obviously at that point I had zero sailing knowledge, never sailed before. And I'm there in the Bahamas, and there are dolphins jumping beside you, and you have a drink on the beach, and you snorkel with the rays and the fish, and you fish, you spearfish your own food, and then you make fresh sushi out of the fish you just got. And I just fell in love with it. It was like, oh, this is meant to be. I need to go move on a boat. This is my purpose. This is my goal. This is what's happening from now on. I came back. I started taking sailing courses, meteorology courses, electricity classes for boats, VHF, so I can ask for help. Any course I could find. I went to every single conference, every single, thing about boats in my area. And then I took some classes in Gaspésie. Then I went back to Puerto Rico during the pandemic to take another training there with another captain. Somewhere in all of that, I also met my partner. So I had a Tinder profile that said, I'm looking for a sailing partner. And I then held some interviews. So every guy that would message me, I would be, what's your sailing experience? Do you get seasick? Yeah. And then I would do FaceTime. And then I met my current partner, and I was like, okay, he used to own a sailboat when he was little. So he has sailing experience. He's traveled to like 46 countries, speaks 10 languages. I'm going to be like, that's going to be practical. If I'm going to be in the Caribbean, he speaks very good Spanish. So I'm like, all right, this guy's a good candidate. So then we meet up, and he started joining me in my classes and everything. And he knows, like, it's the love of my life, but he knows that if tomorrow he says, I don't want to be on that boat, it's over. Like,
right.
I'm going on that boat, whether he's coming or not. I'm just glad that he's coming along.
Right.
And and now it's happening. Like, we bought it 2 weeks ago on April 1st. We officially bought our yellow sailboat.
That's wonderful. I'm so excited for you, and I'm excited to watch your journey.
I'm excited to see that too. I feel like that is becoming more and more what I hear as it's coined the American dream, but really it's just, cultural, like it's a life dream for people, human dream, where you can live the life you want and not be confined by typical like cookie cutter ideals. Because, I was raised in the era where you bought the house, and you had the 2 kids, and you had the SUV, and that's
golden retriever.
That was the life. That was the, that's what you aspire to. But I'm seeing more and more people who are doing something like what you're talking about. And the sailboat is just one entity there. You can do the RV life, you can do the schoolie life, you can do the air, the little tiny home situation, whatever. And I feel like I'm seeing people, they're more happy. They've reduced their stuff, like the things that they own. And then they go and they have these amazing experiences that they wouldn't have had in a brick and mortar house. And it's not for everybody. I get it, but it sounds like you have very, very much prepared for this life. It's not just like, oh, I had these romantic ideas and then I just got on a boat and did it. You've actually taken classes and certified yourself to be able to, because traversing the ocean in a sailboat is no small thing. I don't think people I get it, because we used to have sailboats actually, but we would only take them out and they were little. They were like little sunfish, things like that, on the lake here locally. And it's a big lake, but it's not an ocean. So, it's a very different experience. It is not, like a motorboat, you just kill the thing whenever you want. There's a lot of, and maybe yours does have a motor, but that's a lot of preparation. So I think people need to appreciate just how much work you went into. It's not just some frivolous romantic dream. Like, I'm going to go live in an Airbnb or whatever. Like this is a thing you have to prepare for, because it's life and death out on the high seas.
100%. It's like it's like preparing for a triathlon or climbing Everest, but
yeah. And it totally seems to fit your vibe too. Like it's just like, I think people should do that. Pursue it more. Hey, this is what I want to do, and go for it, because we only get this one life, and it might as well live it to the fullest instead of trying to live out some cookie cutter ideal. So good for you guys. Bravo for doing that. That's awesome. Thank you. We're about to run out of time. So I wanted to ask if you had any advice that you would give others who are starting a business or running a business, some little gem that you're just like, that's it right there. That's the tagline.
Be very honest with yourself about what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it seems like such common sense, but we tell ourselves a lot of lies, don't we?
We tell ourselves a lot of lies. And, especially in business, sometimes we make a decision because it brings you more money, but does it bring you more joy? Mm-hmm. Does it bring you more joy? Is this really what you want? And I see people starting businesses because they want the freedom of the business, but not the business.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, that's good advice.
Be very honest with yourself about what you want, and then go in that direction.
Be authentic. Awesome. What does the future hold for you? I mean, obviously you're about to go live on a sailboat, but aside that, in the business realm, what's the future hold for you?
Yes. So like I said, in a month, I'm co-hosting my very first retreat, and I hope that's the first of many. I hope I can host business retreats in the Caribbean where I invite a bunch of speakers and we can all do workshops all together. So we're down there. I hope I also build new partnerships. I'm going to have more time very soon where my pool gig ends in 6 weeks. So maybe build a new partnership with a new company. I also hope, so far, all of my partnerships have renewed. So this is great. So I'm building long-term relationships, working in companies and not just constantly having to look for new clients. So definitely, I hope that's what's coming for me as well. And then starting the nomad life, discovering the boat. Right now, I'm selling all of my stuff. And if anyone's in Quebec, Montreal, they need a rug, some frames, a desk, a TV, hit me up. That's going to be, for the next 4 weeks, that's going to be my main focus.
This is the perfect time to start a TikTok account.
Yeah, it really is.
Document this, sailboat life and being a coach. Like, I think that would be people would follow that story. I see TikTok videos all the time of people who similar, and I'm just like fascinated, and I will watch the whole video or I'll watch the whole series. Like, so it's something to think about. You should. All
right. You convinced me.
Document the process and get everybody else, seeing the real life version of what something like this looks like, because I like it when people present, hey, it's not always rainbows and butterflies. It can be challenging. So that's awesome.
Definitely.
I think we'll definitely have to have you back, Vickie, especially once you've started this nomad lifestyle and can speak a little bit more on it and what the experience of getting started was like, and then all the things that it entails, right? I think we'll definitely have to have you back. This has been a fantastic conversation. I'm very glad that we got to meet and speak with you.
Yeah, I'm so glad you emailed us. Tell everybody where they can find you online if they want to, engage in your services.
Yeah. So if you're able to spell my name right, it's simply my name on all platforms. So Vickie Leuenberger, no matter how you want to say it. And I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn at the moment, apparently TikTok soon. So stay tuned about that. We'll see if my name is still available, but if not, definitely. And then I have my podcast, Aim for More, that is on Spotify and Apple TV. It's very short, like nothing like this beautiful conversation. It's like 5 to 7 minutes, just kind of dropping truth bombs and then giving you some homework. So if you're into that, there's that too.
No, I think that's great. I think 10-minute long podcasts are awesome.
We'll have that all linked in the description if you guys want to check her out. I will definitely be checking out your podcast today. That sounds fantastic. Again, thank you so much for reaching out to us. And I'm glad that we were able to have you on today.
Yeah,
Vickie, me too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was great. It was so great. I hope everybody enjoyed this conversation. And like Megan said, we're going to have you back after you get started on your traveling life. And for all those listening, I hope you enjoyed it, and you'll have to join us next time. Until then, Vickie, have a great day, and everybody else too.
Thank you.
Do you have a story to tell? We want to hear it. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast and share your story, contact us on our website at PaynePoints.com or any of the social media linked on our website. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. We'd appreciate a review, a like, or a comment to let us know what you think. You can find all of our podcasts linked on our website under the podcast tab. Once again, thanks for joining us, and we want to wish everybody a wonderful day.